Hey folks, this is Young from Career School. Today I want to talk about leadership principle once again, and today's leadership principle is earns trust. Earn trust is probably going to be accepted as a lot of different meanings at Amazon, but it's probably going to be most related to relationship building, cooperating with people, and working in a cross-functional environment. Whenever I talk with Amazonians really know and understand the importance of earned trust. But sometimes I feel like the people outside who are interviewing for Amazon are really struggling to find what is the right story to share when they are interviewing with the company. So I thought it would be beneficial for everyone if I can share what earned trust really means and what are the sample questions, and obviously share my sample answer for you so that you can take advantage of it when you are interviewing for your next interview. I think earned trust is also considered to be one of those leadership principles that either you have it or not, and it's not really teachable, meaning that it's a really, really important leadership principle when you are interviewing and you really want to make sure that you demonstrate it correctly when you are interviewing with the company. So first, why don't we go over the leadership principle itself? Leaders listen attentively, speak candidly, and treat others respectfully. They're vocally self-critical, even when doing so is awkward or embarrassing. Leaders do not believe their or their team's body odor smells of perfume. They benchmark themselves and their teams against the best. As you can probably see, earned trust is really important when you are working in a collaborative environment where you have multiple stakeholders to make sure that your project is successful. I feel like I was one of those people who really had earned trust from the beginning. It's probably going to be because I was, living in multiple countries since, a very young age. And doing that over and over again, I think that's why I had this in me. And also, I've worked for a pretty big company before as well, and working in a cross-functional environment where you just really need to have that earned trust to, earn trust from others and then work with them to make sure that your project is done. Yeah, one sample is that we have this peer evaluation every year, and it's called Forte, and one of the highest ranked leadership principle for me was earn trust from my peers. I think this leadership principle is just really, really critical to succeed at the company. So if you ask me what earn trust really mean, I feel like it's just really two things. One is making sure that you are delivering what you promised, when you promised, and also who you promised to. And second is that you make sure that you are vocally self-critical. And this means that you admit your mistakes and make sure that you work hard to overcome those and deliver a better result, even though you initially made a mistake on your first go or your second go, right? So I think those are the really good two things that you should be considering when you are thinking about crafting your story. So if you ask me, what is the best story that matches with earned trust? As you know, we have 16 leadership principles, and you really need to craft your stories based on all the leadership principles, right? And earned trust, I believe the best type of stories that you can share with the interviewer is going to be a failure story. Tell a story where you failed to deliver something and how you admitted your failure or mistake, and make sure that you come back by admitting your mistake and delivering even bigger results. That tells us, or tells the interviewer, that you have earned trust, and also you make sure that you have ownership and you deliver results. So by now, you probably understand that one of these leadership principles don't really only mean one thing. It just really has those other leadership principle flavors into it. And we, also evaluate those when we're interviewing. Yeah, so what are the sample questions that you might get during your interview? So I'll just go ahead and maybe read about 3 questions that we normally ask, and these are all questions that are readily available at Google. You can go ahead and check them. You can check search for Amazon Leadership Principle Earn Trust questions or something like that. Anyway, tell me about a time when you had to communicate a change in direction that you anticipated people would have concerns with. What did you do to understand the concerns and mitigate them? Were there any changes you made along the way after hearing those concerns? How did you handle questions and resistance? Were you able to get people comfortable with the change? Second, give me an example of a tough or critical piece of feedback you received. What was it, and what did you do? What did you do about it? Third, describe a time when you needed to influence a peer who had a different opinion about a shared goal. What did you do? What was the outcome? So these are all really good earn trust questions, and I would also like to share my earn trust answer that I actually used when I was interviewing a couple years ago. So again, I think earn trust, it's best to share a failure story. And one of my failure story was around a product we developed when I was back in Huawei. Yeah, so at Huawei, we had this weird product that was called Car-Fi. So it's basically a Wi-Fi dongle where you can plug it in your car, and your car basically becomes a Wi-Fi hotspot. And other people in the car can just use data, Wi-Fi. And that was the product. So I'll go ahead and just go over the Car-Fi failure story. So in December 2015, Huawei, we launched this product called Car-Fi back in Korea. It's an LTE mobile hotspot where you can plug in the cigarette lighter in the car, and it just provides you Wi-Fi data. So initially, as I was a product manager, I had to kind of forecast the initial, MOQ, minimum quantity. And I did 10K limited data for first initial 6 months. So yeah, but after the challenge was after 6 weeks, sales was only about 50% to what we have originally expected. So the action I took was to organize a meeting. And I basically admitted that, we only are hitting 50%, and that I really need to get some support from the team, and also to kind of share that I'll be solving this issue as I am the product manager and I basically own this product. So we kind of went into, I kind of went into first, why is it not selling? I had to really understand the situation here. So did some customer survey. I also interviewed some people who actually purchased the product, and there were 3 themes. It was only available while in their car, so they didn't really use something that they only spent very minimum time in. Because in Korea, we the metro and all that is pretty good. People usually don't use their car that often, and it's only for weekends, for example, right? And then it's a family targeted one, and they are only using it for once a week or even less than that. So the value proposition was not there as well. And then the price of it was pretty expensive because the product itself was about $100, and with the data they had to pay about $30-$50 every month. So combining those, the price of it was pretty high for B2C customers. So what we did for the B2C side was that we used remaining marketing fund to provide a lower price and not use it for marketing. So we used the marketing dollars to lower the price, and also got some funding from the telco, the telecommunication company, so that we can lower the price even further. And then we also bundled a mobile power bank, those battery things, so that customers can actually use it when they're not only in their cars. So kind of solving customer problems here, right? And then the other part was that we actually partnered with a B2B company. At that time, this huge company called Kakao was actually running a they were starting to build a taxi business in Korea, and we kind of had this partnership with them where Kakao taxis can basically use CarFi. So really breaking into the B2B market was the next step. So those were the things that we really, really focused on. And then eventually we were able to sell all the 10,000 units, even though we initially were predicting that we will never sell all of them. So what I really learned about this was that you really gotta act fast. You gotta have bias for action to make sure that you are getting out whatever you want to, and also you really have to confirm insights from the data with actual customer anecdotes, because the data we initially had was from other countries like UK and Europe, and the situation was very, very different in based on these different countries. So these are the things that I really learned, and it really portrayed it well at the end. So yeah, that was my story on earned trust, and as you can see, it's a failure story where I failed to deliver something. I failed the forecasting, and then admit the mistake, ask for help, and then went into diving into what was wrong, and then solving the problem. I think this one was a really good story, kind of portraying earned trust, deliver results, and ownership and everything. So if you are considering to create a story on earned trust, I would definitely suggest that you use your failure story to do so. Yeah, so that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this really helped. If you have any questions around the leadership principle, or if you have anything that you want me to cover around, Amazon life, work, professional career, networking, MBA, anything, just leave a comment and I'll be there for you to answer or create a video like this. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you.